Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. We need to talk about Rasmus Højlund, but in the process, thanks to Ruben Amorim's comments this week and something we've been talking about for a long time, the graveyard shift, we're going to blow the doors off this myth that Man United can solve their goal scoring problems by signing a striker. And yes, Xerxes or Rasmus, can they be that striker is a question. Do they have the ability? But the bigger question is exactly what we've been talking about for a while. So when we discuss this, get ready to sit down and write this down because it is incredible. So speaking to the press after the game against Southampton, Ruben Amorim was asked about the lack of goals from Rasmus and strikers. And he said, I think it's a team problem. You can see it. It's not just from now, it's from the past. So we have clearly a lack of goals and a lack of threat. When you threaten the opponents, the opponents maybe don't press you so high. So everything is connected. All the players have had moments in the season. I think when we started this journey together, Rasmus was the players that was scoring. So he can come back in the next game. We will see. But I love this from Amorim because I sometimes feel that as a community, we are labouring under this misapprehension that Man United just need to sign a striker. And it's been going on for years and years and years. And Amorim is right to allude to the fact that for me, this comes down to a pure lack of quality and selfishness in creating chances and playing the right ball at the right time. I want to talk about a singular piece of play that would solve Man United's problem. And I don't know why they don't have the capacity to do it. And it's a really good bit. But let me just talk to you about this. When I talk about the lack of service to a striker, I think there are two fundamental stats that are the closest you can get. And stats don't tell you everything, but can tell you the real issue. So when I look at, we need to talk about Rasmus. We could be talking about Xerxes. We could be talking about bloody Cavani. We could have been talking about Martial. This happened to Anthony Martial numerous times over the last 5 years. Goal conversion is how many goals you convert from the chances you get. So if I'm playing up front for Man United and I get 2 chances and I score 1 goal, my goal conversion rate is 50%, 1 goal from 2. So your goal conversion rate is important. And interestingly, I was on That's Football the other day, and over the last calendar year, Rasmus has got the best goal conversion rate in the Premier League. Fact for the strikers. Incredible, isn't it? But also you need to take into account total shots, because how many chances are you getting can impact on that goal conversion rate. So we look at someone like Harry Kane at Spurs. Harry Kane at Spurs in the 18-19 season had a 17% goal conversion rate from 3.3 shots per game. In the 2021 season, he had a 17% conversion rate from 3.6 shots per game. In the 22-23 season, he had a 24% conversion rate from 3 shots per game. So Harry Kane in his time at Spurs, who weren't the best team in the world. I mean, it's Spurs. They're not Man City. They're not winning leagues. They're not even in the top 4 every year. But Harry Kane could expect 3.5 shots per game in a Spurs shirt playing up front for them. You compare that to Manchester United over the years. In let's go back a little bit. Before we talk about Rasmus, let's go back a bit. So Anthony Martial in the 18-19 season, 26% conversion rate compared to Kane's 17. I mean, that's a third better, but 1.9 shots per game, whereas Kane was getting 3.3. So even back in the 18-19 season, Martial as our striker, very good conversion rate, the best in the league. 26% conversion rate was the best in the league that season. Aubameyang was second with 25%, Vardy was third with 24%. But Martial was getting 1.9 shots per game. Aubameyang was getting 3. Harry Kane was getting 3.5. So even back in the 18-19 season, we weren't creating many chances for our striker. Now the 19-20 season, that was, and God knows what happened. COVID happened. We had Mason Greenwood with a 27% conversion rate of 2.2 shots per game. And we had Martial with 21% of 2.5 shots per game. And Rashford had 2.8 shots per game with a 19% conversion rate. So we had 3 players getting well over 2.5 shots per game, which is just incredible considering, how bad we were the season before. The season after, Cavani has the best conversion rate in the league out of all the strikers. 31% conversion rate Cavani had. 1.9 shots per game. Again, below 2 shots per game for a Manchester United striker. Harry Kane, 3.6 shots per game in a Spurs shirt. That's double. That's actually double the amount of shots per game Kane was getting. And Cavani had a 31% conversion rate. So you'd look back on that and go, we had the best striker in the league and we weren't giving him the service that Harry Kane was getting. Lacazette, Callum Wilson were second and third that year. We go to 21-22 season, Manchester United, 16% conversion rate, Ronaldo 3.7 shots per game, the most we've had in the last 5 years. Explain that to me. A very low conversion rate, but loads of shots. Was that Ronaldo desperately shooting from all over the place? Probably, to be honest. I think that's what that was all about, because Rashford, 1.4 shots per game, which is abysmal. So everything was going to Ronaldo and he was shooting from everywhere, probably. 22-23 season, Martial was the 5th best striker. A very high conversion rate again, 25%, 1.9 shots per game again. Harry Kane, 24%, 3 shots per game. So you see, this, I've not even touched Rasmus Højlund yet. But in relation to his, I don't want to touch Rasmus, of course, but in relation to his conversion rate, we can already establish that from 6 years ago, Man United are averaging less than 2 shots per game for their striker, and most other clubs are doing 3.5. Across a season, well, across 10 games, that's 20 shots across 10 games, but if you were Harry Kane, you'd be getting 35 shots. It's nearly double across 10 games. And if you're Haaland, sometimes you're getting 4 shots per game. So this is a service thing. It's very, very obvious. Last season, Rasmus Højlund was 5th with 27% conversion rate. 1.4 shots per game. 1.4 shots per game last season for Rasmus. Unbelievably crap. Mateta, 1.6 shots per game, but he plays for Palace. You know, you probably are going to defend quite a lot. Chris Wood, 1.9 shots per game. Isak at Newcastle, 2.7 shots per game. That's more than double at Newcastle what we're doing. It's pitiful. And I know I'm shouting stats at you, but this has been going on for years. You know, the mainstream and certain people don't want to talk about this. We've been talking about the graveyard. It has a name. It's called the graveyard shift. It's been going on for years. It's pitiful the amount of shots we create for our striker. Whether it's Cavani, whether it's Martial, whether it's Rasmus, it's absolutely pitiful. This season, it will make you cry. Number 1 striker for conversion rate this season, 37%, is Wood. And Mbeumo is in 2nd place, 36%, ridiculous conversion rate. Isak is 3rd, 27% conversion rate, 3 shots per game. Rasmus, this season, has had 0.9 shots per game. Less than 1 shot per game for a striker for Manchester United. Isak's getting 3. Even Vizza at Brentford's getting 2.3. Haaland's getting 3.5 shots per game. So, look, we will talk now about solutions, but the big one for me is, if you're playing for Spurs or Newcastle or Man City or even Arsenal, you can expect, as a striker, around 3.5 shots per game. If you play up front for Man United, you'll do well to get 1.9. And that is exactly evidenced by the fact that Cavani in the 2021 season had the best conversion rate in the league of 31%. So we had a striker that if you gave him 3 chances, he's going to score a goal. We gave him 1.9 shots per game. And this has been going on for years and years and years. So, look, we need to talk about Rasmus, we do. We need a striker. Yeah, we do. We do need a more experienced striker. But it wouldn't solve the problem. You could bring in the most lethal striker in the world, put him up front for Man United, and you'd be moaning about him because he wouldn't be getting the service. Amrim is right. We are right. We've been talking about it for years. Why are we not giving service to striker? Well, for many years, we've had players like Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony, Greenwood. There are others, Dan James, who want to shoot. Their job is to create in some ways, but they want to shoot. The creativity from the fullbacks has been non-existent because we haven't even had a left back for 2 years, and our right-sided right backs don't really put the cross in. So there's massive areas from the wing that you're not getting crosses into the box. I look at the game against Southampton. There was a couple of occasions, but one jumped out to me. Bruno got the ball. There was a ball with the outside of his foot. He could have played straight away in behind the slow defender and Rasmus would have been onto it. He took his time. He did something else. Eriksen comes on. Ahmad gives him the ball. Straight away, pings it over. Southampton can't react. It's a goal. It amazes me how we don't play the quick ball. You speak to Rio Ferdinand or Virgil van Dijk about defending and ask them what they fear in relation to a player who's got the ball, and they'll say the first time pass, because there's no defender in the world that can be ready for a first time pass. You're not ready. The ball is moving, you see it hit a player and it instantly moves again. It's really difficult. A cross, first time, is difficult. If someone takes a touch, you've got time to have a look around, get ready, set yourself. Man United are the masters at not playing the first ball, which is why Eriksen's pass the other night was so fantastic. There is an evolution of football one day that I think, sit down Pep Guardiola with your style. There'll be an evolution of football one day where a coach drills his players so well that literally most of their attack is first touch football, and it'll be impossible to deal with. You can't deal with it. Not many teams do it. That's why I saw one from Liverpool the other day where they did a 7-pass move, one touch, and it was just going all over TikTok and everything because it looks brilliant. But you've got to have very cultured players to do it. Unfortunately, we don't have the players who do it even occasionally. And if you are a striker and you get the cross in first time or you get the pass in first time, you've got the advantage over the defender. Amrim talks about the press. Teams press as high up the pitch because they're not scared. You start playing those sort of passes, they won't do it because they're worried. And we don't worry teams. We're easy to defend against. That's why teams express themselves at Old Trafford. As I said, this was happening to Cavani. This was happening to Martial. Most of those players that were providing or meant to be providing aren't here now, but it's continued. It is a technical thing. We must learn to play the ball quicker and have the quality to play that ball quicker. And whoever's playing up front will get more chances because of it. We're so static. We're so slow. We struggle against low blocks because we're not an intimidating team. It's incredible to me because as a youngster, I'm sure many of you did it as well, we actually used to have 10 minutes before we had the proper game at the end where it was one touch. And most of us bloody hated it. But actually, technically, it's brilliant. You learn to move forward by hitting a pass. You find space. It's fantastic if you're good enough to do it. But United just don't do it. We don't have enough players that have the ability to create chances for people. And people will go, well, look at Bruno, look at Bruno, look at Bruno. I do look at Bruno. And I think Bruno is a fantastic player, but he is as guilty as anyone of holding onto the ball for too long. The quick pass doesn't happen quick enough. And Eriksen exposed that the other night. So yes, we need to talk about Rasmus, but I think we've also spoken about something that, really needs to be focused in on. This has been going on for years. Don't fall into the media trap of, what's that Manchester Evening News journalist who thinks that if we sign Osman, everything gets resolved? You went to university, mate. You got a blue tick. Do you not know that journalism is about research? We've been talking about this on this community for years, and still it makes me laugh that people go, we need to get Rasmus and Xerxes out and get a top-class striker in, and then we'll be fighting for the top four. And you're like, we had a world-class striker in Cavani and fed him breadcrumbs. Martial wasn't a bad striker. We fed him breadcrumbs. And what happens is these strikers get crucified. They get slagged off. Oh, they're not good enough. They're not scoring. Because some people watch football through, a tiny little hole. And some people watch it through a massive hole. And I do. And I think most of you do. And I watch Man United. And I don't see... And I watch other teams. And I'll look at someone like Isak or Ollie Watkins or Erling Haaland. And I'll go, every game... 2 or 3 chances, 4 or 5 chances, and they might miss 3 or 4. But every game for United, whether it's Cavani, Martial, Rasmus, Xerxes, I sometimes watch Man United play 2 or 3 games and I'll go, there wasn't one chance for our striker today. There wasn't one chance. I remember saying it with Cavani. I remember saying it with Martial. That's why the graveyard shift thing started years ago, because you're literally getting no service. So Amrim is right. You are right. I am right. And we do need an experienced striker. It may well be that if we started giving Rasmus or Xerxes 3 or 4 chances a game, they'd be like Nicholas Jackson and miss them all. But you got to give him the service first. That's the first step. The second step is finding out whether you've got the striker that can do it. I don't know. But the first step is to solve this glaringly obvious problem that people want to bury like a cat under a load of gravel. We've been smelling this problem for years. It's time we saw it, and it's time it hit the mainstream, and it's time it hit the main fan base. This has been going on for years. You can't have Cavani and Martial 5-6 years ago getting less than 2 shots per game when Harry Kane and co are getting 3.5. Across a whole season, I mean, how many games do you play? 38 games. Let's say it's 40 games. What's 4 times 3.5? So, I don't know, what is that? 12, 14. Across a whole season, what's that? Say 140 shots, I don't know. 140 shots across a whole season. If Cavani was getting 1.9, that's not even 80 shots. 140 shots to 80 shots. Mate, you're not giving your striker a chance. You're really not. Get your comments in below. Smash a like on the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, sometimes we moan and sometimes we need to look under the cover. Let's do more of that. Take care, everyone. Smash a like. Get your comments in. I'll speak to you on the next one.